the hill. I'm Carrie, and this is the recording. This is for the Winter Solstice 2020. It's the 25th, 26th maybe of November. It's Friday anyway, 26th of November. Yeah, I want to release this video, this podcast, on the actual winter solstice, so in order to give me enough time for editing, I do record quite early. So we're not looking particularly Christmassy or solsticey yet, but this is my craft studio and I tend not to decorate in here. But what I've just been doing is getting all my Christmas decorations out of the shed. I haven't got loads. What happens is, what gets stored here, because we've got quite a lot of space and storage space, there's all my decorations and all my son's decorations and all my daughter's decorations. They're all here, and we tend to just get them out each year and then decide who's going to have what, so you can change your colour scheme up if you like, just by swapping with someone else. I don't know quite how that's going to work this year, because we're in well, at the moment we're obviously in lockdown, but from the middle of next week, because we're in Warwickshire, we're in tier 3, which means there's not supposed to be anybody coming into the house. But I guess I've put all the decorations out. Actually, there's a big table in my office. I've got a kind of space for big projects, so they're all on that. I'll just go out and they can come in and take what they want off the table. So yeah, we're not mixing indoors, even though they will come to my house. So I guess that's how we're going to do it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing later today, is just looking at what we've got, deciding what I want. And because I've been working from home, obviously, like, you know, huge amounts of people this year, I decided I'm going to try and Christmas up my office a little bit. Just the bit that, you know, that is actually behind me, so not here in my office. But when I do those meetings, Teams meetings, whatever, and I put the camera on, yeah, I want it to look a bit Christmassy, because if I was in the office in Birmingham, we would decorate it. So yeah, I'm just going to put a few lights up and stuff and try and get that organised. Because normally as well with work, so I'm actually finishing, my last day is like the 16th or 17th of December, the Thursday anyway. So I've only got maybe 2.5 weeks. So I'm going to get that decorated. I'm not one of these people who puts my Christmas tree up and gets all my decor on really early. I haven't quite worked out when that will be yet, but probably about a week before Christmas, and then I'll take it all down, usually on New Year's Day actually. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing today, but I thought I would start by just having a quick look at my craft projects and an update on where I was at last time. So I think last time I did this, I showed you a sock I was working on. And I have the sock here, so this is the first sock. It's actually finished. I just have the, it's called Kitchener stitch, that you do right at the end to sew the toe up. But yeah, pretty pleased with that. I think it's a really nice pattern. I've tried it on, they fit, they're really comfortable. So I need to Kitchener stitch that up and start on the second one. I got to that point and then I didn't do the Kitchener stitch because it's not particularly difficult, but every time I do it, because you don't do it very often, so every time I do it I have to look up how to do it. I just have to get my head in the right space to just kind of think about something a little bit. And I have just had the maddest week at work. I've got a big project going live next week actually, some data I've been working on for, gosh, over 2 years. Is finally going to get published on the 1st of December. So there's been a lot of work around that. It's quite stressful, just making sure that, you know, everything's correct, and also preparing presentations to talk to people about that and talk them through the data. And it's quite a complicated piece of work. So yeah, just lots of rehearsing about, am I, as a data analyst number person who really understands this, making sense to all these people that I'm going to talk to who are not data analyst number people, and I've got to make sure that what I say makes sense to them. So another project I've been working on, and I don't think I'd started this one last time, in fact I'm pretty sure I hadn't, but it is it's a jumper, a cardigan for me, and it's called Angelus Novus. I'll put the designer up on the screen as well. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see at the moment, but basically at the moment I'm knitting a shawl. So this bit here that would normally, you know, when you knit a shawl, would be the top that sits on the nape of your neck. This actually sits at the bottom, at the, yeah, on your sort of coccyx, on your bum. And then, yeah, so what's along the top here that would be the kind of two sides of a shawl, that's sits along the top of your neck, I think, and then down and round the side of you. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's quite an interesting and unusual construction. So anyway, but that's what I'm working on. I've almost finished the shawl part, and then I'm going to start adding sleeves and the front on very soon. So I'll show you the construction in more detail once it's finished. But that is in, I remembered to bring the yarn up with me, so this is, I don't know how well you can see that, that's Blacker Gotland yarn, a double knit in a DK weight. Blacker yarns are based in the UK. I don't think this is UK grown yarn. I think some of it actually comes from the Falklands. So it's merino sheep on the Falklands, which obviously the Falklands is a long way, it's the other side of the world, but it comes on container ships, and as I understand it, kind of putting things on ships isn't too carbon heavy. So anyway, it's really hard to get what you would consider kind of sustainable, local, ethically dyed, spun, whatever yarn, and I do the best I can, so that's one of the compromises I make. So that's the jumper I'm working on. Something else that you saw last time, if you watched last time, you might remember that I was working on a bag, doing a sort of patchwork piece, and I've done, so I've got two pieces like this kind of size, so that's the front and back of the bag, and now I'm working on, this is a long narrow piece, and this is like the gusset, so it'll be the bottom of the bag and the sides. So yeah, and we can see there's the little bit I'm actually working on. You can see my needle stuck in it and the thread, and just doing those tiny little running stitches. So and I have to say, actually, I mean, I sit down, well, in normal times, in the before times, any evening that I was at home, I would have sat down and done maybe an hour of craft, but that would probably only have been, gosh, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Probably was out 3 or 4 nights a week. I mean, it really varied from week to week, but something like that. Obviously, well, we've been in lockdown and all through the summer, and you know, all the things I would normally go out to and do have all been cancelled. I've been at home every night forever, so I'm doing this every night, and I'm so pleased that these are skills that I've learnt over the years. I mean, if I hadn't, I might be trying to pick up new skills, but you know, it's just been a blessing to be able to have this, and it's so meditative and so relaxing. Yeah, it's kind of one of the counting my blessings. But speaking of new skills, I have been trying to improve my spinning. So the story of my spinning, I've meddled a little bit with using a drop spindle. I can do that. A couple of years ago I signed up with, I forget what it's called, a spinning school anyway. It was great. The deal was you paid some money for a spinning lesson, and then you had the loan of the wheel for a month, and then a month later you took the wheel back and had a second lesson. So the idea was you learned to spin, you had the wheel for a month, you went back and had a second lesson where you learnt the plying, and then you could choose to buy a wheel, or you know, took the wheel back, but you'd had 2 lessons and a wheel to practice on. So that was great, but I actually thought, I haven't got time in my life for spinning. This was before COVID. I'll pick this up when I retire. But meanwhile, if a spinning wheel comes past the end of my nose at a good price, I will pick one up, but I'm not actually going to go out and look for one. And then of course a friend said her cousin was selling one, and the cousin, well, she didn't really know what it was worth and she hadn't paid much for it, and the upshot was there was a spinning wheel available in Coventry, which is 12 miles away, for a very good price. So I bought that spinning wheel, and I've kind of parked it in the corner and not done much with it, but because of, you know, the M4 staying home, I thought, no, I will try and improve my spinning. So say, before I started, I could spin, but I can't spin very consistently. So I thought the thing to do was to just sit there and do it. So I have produced a skein of yarn, and I mean, you can see there all the kind of mad colours. I would not claim that this is a thing of beauty by any means. Yeah, it's just some fluff that I'd picked up and acquired over the years, and I thought, you know, I'll try with this stuff and this green in there. That was particularly, I can't remember where I got it from, but it's clearly not very good quality. I probably didn't pay very much for it because I didn't know what I was doing. The red stuff's much better. The brown stuff that's the base is some Shetland tops that I bought ages ago. So I've just been playing with that. The spinning bit, I find that's fine. I can sit on the sofa with my wheel in front of me and spin and spin and spin. But the plying I really struggled with. Yeah, I just was sitting on the sofa and I wasn't quite comfortable and it didn't feel right. And then I thought, well, I've got to change the geometry here. I've got backache, I've got leg ache. So I got a dining room chair and sat on that, and that was much better. But then, of course, I didn't feel like I was kind of relaxing doing a craft. But it doesn't feel very relaxing yet anyway, because I don't know what I'm doing. You know, when you pick up something you're familiar with, you're sewing, you're knitting, it's so easy. You just know what you're doing and your hands do it and you don't need to think. I'm not there yet with spinning. So, yeah, that's my crafts. So what I did was I've got 2 bobbins that are full of yarn, or they were full of singles, and then I plied them onto the 3rd bobbin. I've only got 3 bobbins. Plied them onto the 3rd bobbin, but of course that only used half the yarn off each of the singles bobbins. So yeah, and that's that. So what I've got left to do is I've got those 2 bobbins that are now half full of singles yarns and an empty bobbin to ply onto. So I've got to just spend, it's maybe only another hour's work, but I just need to be in the right headspace for it. So yeah, maybe later this week, once the data's out and published and the presentations are all done. So that's it for crafts. I have got some filming from the garden. I've done some like tidying up the veggie plots and drying of beans and things. I can't remember how much I've filmed, but I've filmed some, and then hopefully this weekend I'm going to get out and I dug up a load of sorrel from the veggie plot. Sorrel's a perennial crop. It was growing in the vegetable plot. There was too much of it. We don't really use it that much, and I wanted to transplant it to the forest garden because, yeah, then I've got some if I want it, but it's not taking up sort of prime vegetable growing space. So hopefully that'll get done this weekend. We'll see how the weather is, and I will film some of that for you. So yeah, happy solstice, and I hope everybody has as lovely a Christmas as possible in the circumstances, and yeah, stay safe. Cheerio. bye.